Hello and welcome. So this is just a little video to show a technique that I like to use that I feel like makes art a lot easier, especially things like imaginative illustration and painting from imagination, but it's also super duper useful and makes things way easier when painting from reference as well. So the whole idea is that it can be quite difficult to paint things on, in digital in general, when you're painting them at full detail. But if you are painting them in the form of something like pixel art, it's a lot easier, right? So it's a lot easier to paint something at a very low resolution where it's basically pixel art than it is to paint something at full resolution. But what most people don't actually realize is that you can get pixel art and slowly, progressively upscale it and paint into it again and again until it becomes, photorealistic, if you like. So this is just a demo of me showing how to do that. Hope you enjoy. So just to make this simple, let's say you want to draw a person right on, and then maybe they're just in a park and there's some trees. I don't know, it doesn't matter, right? So you can kind of just do this basically child's drawing if you like. It genuinely doesn't matter. We're just kind of making a map. I like to call this my gesture. Just making a map of what things are going to go where. You barely really even need this. It's just for the idea. So we're not trying to do any rendering here. It's just, the structure. Time has been started. We're going to do what I call a 5, 10, 15, which is just... I wouldn't actually recommend always timing yourself, to be honest. I really don't like being timed, and I don't think it is crazy conducive to learning. I don't think you need to do that. Right, so we're just going to draw this person, and again, like I say, just do it from literally like what a child would draw. It doesn't matter at all, especially for just the purposes of this demo. And you just want it to be as simple as possible, especially if you never kind of tried this before and you're new to it. Yeah, then, so I'm just drawing the grass behind him, like I said. Obviously we're going to have blue sky as well. So we're just slavering it on in there, literally. We're just going to have the light coming from the top left, and you can see I'm just doing kind of blobs at the top left of the plants and stuff, and maybe have the grass get a little bit lighter in the background, and just random places just to kind of make it look more like it checks out. Put some tree trunks in. Okay then, we haven't even really drawn much of the guy, have we? We're 2.5 minutes in, so we're about halfway through our time. Just give him some hair, I guess. See, this is all very surface level. And you can also see that I draw and paint quite small. In fact, my tablet, that is the top left corner, and that is the bottom right corner. And I do that so that it feels like my tablet is way bigger. Just avoids hand cramp for me, because I always paint so small, and these movements, if I didn't have it shrunk down so much, would be less than a millimeter. So I was really starting to get hand cramp. And then what I'm going to be thinking is just the shadows on his face. So just the shadow pattern, really. So you're going to see his nose. Maybe he's going to have some shadow in his eye areas. On that side of his face, really, and his neck. Maybe he's sleeves. Let him have the sleeves. But I do want to add a shadow to his shirt, and that's going to be the same. It's just all going to generally be on the right hand side, and also kind of on the front of him. I feel like. All right. We're just going to give him some, just some vague hint of having eyes and mouth. You just want it to look normal when you zoom out. That's really the only goal. We're at 4 minutes 30 seconds, so we've got 30 seconds more at this kind of level. Obviously we're not going to paint an amazing painting because we've got such a limited amount of time. It's going to be a half an hour painting.
But I think this is perfect amount of time for me to show you what's going on in upscaling and how it works without going overboard. So there you go. You can see we've got just this very rough idea. Let me zoom it in. That is the scale that I feel like I look at it at this scale because I'm comfortable looking at it at this scale, and that's really how small I do my paintings, and that's because we've just started out, right? You just need to be able to see the thumbnail. It's like me, if this was in traditional, I'd be putting it on one side of the room, and I'd be, and I actually do this in my drawings, put it on one side of the room, walk all the way to the other side of the other room through the doorway, just to see it, kind of far away. But yeah, we're at this kind of level. My time is just hitting the 6 minutes mark, so I'm going to say we've started on the next one. So what we want to do now, we want to scale the image to a new size. We're going to double it. And you just want to make sure that it's on nearest neighbor. I think there's another name for it. I'll flash it up on screen if I can. Right then. So, upscale that, and you see the painting hasn't changed at all. It looks exactly the same. But if we zoom in now, you'll see that every pixel has actually been split into 4 subpixels. We've got twice the amount of definition, basically. Every pixel on his face is now 4 pixels. They've all been cut down the middle. And I'm going to spend 10 minutes on this version of him. And you can also just leave the background pixelated and stuff. Just things that you don't care about. You don't have to practice if you don't want to. Just kind of leave it in the background. Right, and I'm going to give him some eyebrows. And you see I literally just copied the colour in his hair to get those eyebrows, to get that eyebrow value. You can see it's just starting to look more and more like a person already. And we've got how many more minutes? It's only been 1 minute. Sun's coming from the top left, so the trees are just smudged on the top left, right? Everything becomes quite simple when you're in the pixels, and that's why I genuinely feel like this is the best method for beginners to start with, in general. Because you can really just take it from how you might have drawn as a child, like with just children's sketches, and you can slowly, convert that into something that makes sense. It allows you to, develop at your own pace. You'll kind of build like a sense of urgency this way too. You'll figure out what's important in the composition or not. Still just trying to keep everything simple. You can see how it can very quickly start to actually pop out and sort of feel more 3D as well, and that's really what we're going for. So you can see we're 12 minutes in total now in this whole painting. So you can see just what we can achieve in literally like 12 minutes. And this is just no reference. This is just straight from basically like a child's drawing idea, because you can see just like what is achievable. And I'm really just trying to show that you do not have to be that good to paint in this way. All right then. Here we are. This is 128 by 128. We upscaled it from this 64 by 64 image. So that is 10 minutes of work, which to me is pretty crazy. Just how you just seen it just slowly crawl and become, from one to another. Basically a child's drawing to not a very good painting, but still a good attack at it, right? But it is a 15-minute painting, right? That is 15 minutes worth of painting. That's what you're gonna get. So we're gonna upscale it again. Image, scale to new size. We want 128 by 128, and this is our final one. And we're gonna be spending 1 hour painting in this way. You can see image did not change at all, but if I zoom in, I should be able to show you that each pixel is now actually 4 pixels, right? So yeah, that is tiny basically, and we're actually reaching the point where there is quite a lot of data in this image. Okay then. So we haven't got 1 hour, we've got 15 minutes. 15 minutes at 128 by 128. Okay, so I just realised that I accidentally did this last stage without recording. I'd gone away and come back and did it and just assumed that I clicked to record. But it doesn't matter. Hopefully you should get the point of, you know, we're kind of working from a very small scale, we're doubling it, and then we're doubling it again. And each time we're making it, you know, we're just making little edits here and there and kind of using the extra detail. So I hope this kind of shows what, you know, the upscale method entails and, you know, where its pros and cons are. And I hope this really demos, you know, how it can be for someone who's never painted before. So yeah, hopefully people know now what I talk about when I say upscaling or upscale method. This is it, and I think this is really like an excellent way to paint, especially for a beginner. And you've also got to remember that this is literally a 30-minute painting, so that is what 30 minutes of painting will get you. I recommend only doing a few timed exercises just to kind of get your rhythm right. What's it called? You know, get your how fast you're using the brush and kind of, you know, snap into it. But when you want to make proper paintings, I recommend not timing yourself using this method and instead completing every stage until you're happy with every single pixel completely, and you know there's nothing more you could add. And then I would recommend, only then I'd recommend upscaling, and that's what I do in my work, in my full paintings. I don't time myself. You know, I work up until I literally cannot add any more to the image that would benefit it, and then I upscale. Or at least that's what I try to do, that's the goal. And you know, you'll go, I also start in 32 by 32 pixels in my actual paintings. And you know, you'll go from, you know, that tiny 32 image, but it will just keep ballooning and ballooning, and you know, you can reach, you know, 1K quite quickly. And before you know it, 1K by 1K, you know, that's a lot of pixels to be dealing with. So, and future Lewis here, I should add that when you get to these higher levels of pixels and you're doing, you know, full paintings, here's where you might want to start using something to anti-alias the work. So you can see this pixel still from like the previous layers and such. At that point, and once you've actually learned, you know, how to do upscaling just with nearest neighbor, at that point you can start using things to sort of anti-alias it. So you can use like basic anti-aliasing. But yeah, anyway, I hope that's a half decent demo. Shows what I'm talking about with the upscale method and, you know, what it kind of entails.